Nothing has changed. The biggest myth in American politics is the so-called October surprise. I've always issued my predictions before then and never changed them. In 2016, for example, we had the biggest October surprise. Donald Trump on tape bragging about sexually assaulting women, and a lot of women coming out and saying, yeah, he did that to me. Even Republicans were saying he was finished. I did not change my prediction of a Trump win, which, Laura, you can imagine, did not make me very popular in 90% plus Democratic D.C., where I teach at American University.
Well, you usually have a lot of butterflies ahead of an election, even if you are people getting backlash or otherwise. But you have said that this year, you say you feel like you have I think it was a flock of crows, not just butterflies, in your stomach. What makes you so anxious this time?
Well, two things. Number one, I have never experienced the kind of hate I've had heaped on me this time, which has made me very nervous. I've had hate that's scurrilous, vulgar, threatening, violent. Security of my family's been compromised. We've had to notify the police. We've had to fortify our home. It's been terribly upsetting. The other thing is, I believe democracy is on the line in this election. If I'm wrong, so be it. I think being wrong once is not going to discredit my system, but I think if I'm wrong, then our democracy is in very serious peril. Democracy is precious, but it can be destroyed, and it's almost always destroyed from within. And unfortunately, the trend of this century has been the decline of democracy all over the world, and I'm worried about our country.
What he's saying is something I agree with totally. But I believe that a big part of our democracy was unions. Back in the 30s and 40s, when unions were being built up and strong, and they realized the strength that workers had. And I just felt that in recent decades, they've been rolling that back. And that was an indication to me that there's a threat on democracy. And I think that the threat on democracy is the people that were voting in office, the Kamala Harris's and the Jimmy Carter's and Richard Nixon's, all of them. They're protecting something. And they're protecting the full potential of what a free country should look like, of a country that's really taking care of the world because of its strength and not taking advantage of the world because of its strength. And it seems like that's what America is doing, the United States. We should be out there seeking out weaker nations and less countries with less technology and building them up so that the world is more even. But we don't want that because it's a threat to us. And if we build somebody up or help someone build, but they don't have to think like we do. They might take their technology and think differently, and that's the problem. It's a very complicated situation when you could think about it. But when it comes down to Donald Trump or Kamala Harris and who's going to be the best president, I still don't see that much daylight in them to where we have to worry about our democracy with one or the other. We're going to lose our democracy. We're going to lose it with Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, not one or the other. Kamala Harris is not built to save democracy. If our democracy is really in peril, then and she's oblivious to it, and the only thing she thinks is the threat is Donald Trump, then it is in peril because she's blind to it. And him saying that, those words, sounds like he's campaigning for Kamala to me. Because if he said, this campaign, in my opinion, is about making America great again, it would sound like he's making a MAGA statement. And you'd be like, hey, wait a minute. It sounds like he's campaigning. It just sounds like that's all I've been hearing out of Kamala Harris is the democracy is going to be lost. The democracy is going to be lost. And it would be embarrassing to think that her and Biden did such a terrible job that they served the country back up to Donald Trump because they couldn't even win an election against him, and the democracy or whatever you guys keep saying is lost. I mean, I don't know, what the democracy being lost would look like. And we might have to see that in order to get people's everyday lives to look better. We're seeing, if you live near a big city and you don't see a lot of homelessness, then you're a very blessed person. It's so much homelessness. It's so many people laying on the street. They keep talking about statistics and job numbers, and then you see people looking for jobs. They can't find jobs. And then when they do, it's not a job that's really, what they need, but it's what they could find. The job numbers are important. I understand that, but the level of job, and now everybody's fighting so hard to get the minimum wage pushed up, because the jobs that require education or certifications, they don't pay very much more. So they're trying to push to get the minimum wage up, and maybe that'll raise these other wages up. It's a very difficult situation. Kamala Harris and Biden have stunk up the place. It's been bad. No one can say this is, and the only way she can win is if we believe that Donald Trump is going to be worse. And most people were alive and well, and most of us voting when he was the president. That's a hard sell. I don't care who you support, but if you know that the country made it through and COVID hit, I mean, what is that, a once in a generational thing? Is COVID coming back again or something like it? Who knows? But would Biden have done any different from the beginning? Would Clinton? Would Obama? Would anybody? I mean, who knows what direction each president would go in? But it lets you know about the infrastructure of the country, because pandemics and things like that should be met no matter who the president is, equally. And obviously it isn't. But yeah, Kamala Harris win tomorrow would be nothing short of a miracle. I don't see her winning it. I see way too much stuff going against her as far as her ability to even be in that seat. How the hell she ended up as if she won, and if this guy is right, this is truly a setup. I mean, there's absolutely no way you just end up in that seat and didn't win a primary. People were told to vote for you. People weren't clamoring for you. They weren't asking for you. They weren't screaming your name. You were lackluster in your last campaign. And that's what we have to go with. We have to go back to facts and reality, and nothing that this guy or Laura Coates or anybody else says is going to sway me away from the fact that we know who Donald Trump is as president. And somehow the Democratic Party is trying to push Kamala into a place that we get to know who she is, whether we like it or not. And that's I just feel a little rebellious about that, about the way that has come to be. And come on, guys. Hopefully a lot of Jill Stein supporters will divert some of that Democratic support. But I am not Kamala Harris supporting, because I know, I mean, and it's a feeling nobody had to tell you about. That woman ain't all the way right, and all the people around her put her in that position because it's something about this Biden administration that they didn't want to go away, and I want it to go away. They gotta go. They fighting that hard. We got to get it out of there. And if Trump come in there tripping, then we got to get him out of there too. It's just how it is. Everybody vote, and vote your conscience. Don't get bullied. Don't let nobody tell you nothing that you don't feel comfortable with. And do not vote just to fit in. Don't vote just to fit in a certain way. Vote to fit in with the goddamn country if possible. But if you don't want to vote, it is your right not to vote. Everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do, whether it is voting or not voting, or voting for Kamala or voting for Donald Trump. But for most of you out there, I would only suggest that you register as an independent, so that the independents in this country outnumber the Democrats and the Republicans. And from that place, you can vote for whichever one of them you like, or there might be a good independent on the scene who would get on a debate stage and demolish them. And we need to have that kind of flexibility, and we need to elect somebody in there to upset the apple cart, and the Democratic and Republican senators can fight or get on board together again, because I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And to me, that is a destruction of the democracy, is when the Republicans and the Democrats start working together. I think that's a bigger threat than Donald Trump. And I see signs of them working together, and that makes me uncomfortable. I do. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.